because we get to a point when we're so frustrated that we forget that things take time. You can't just lose it like from one day to the other. You can't be healthy in a snap of a finger.
Cat. Okay, just for those people who are watching in, all right, just let everyone know your obviously your name and then what do you kind of do, where you at right now.
Yeah, I'm Kat. I am from Portugal. I'm 22 and I live in the UK right now. I'm a language student and I work as well. So I do university and I work as a barista as well in a coffee shop.
Okay, and just to give her credit, right? Language student. How many languages are you currently studying? I mean, these are things like you should just like proudly tell people. It's pretty amazing.
My main one is German, but I also study English because it's not my first one, and I also study a bit of Spanish as well on the side.
And your English is actually
the other ones
really
I already
fluent.
know. Yeah,
English is really
I've been
fluent,
studying
by
it
the
for
way.
like 16 years,
Right,
so
right,
I hope it's fluent.
16 out of 22. All right, so 6 years off. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, you've gone through the coaching, all right, and I think this is always something that's quite important is to really reflect back, right, and really look at how you were before and then how you are kind of now, all right. So, like, let's start off with how you were before. Before you hopped on, all right, do you kind of remember like what were you kind of going through? What do you feel? And like what were you kind of struggling with before you hopped on? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to lose weight. I've been on this weight loss journey for like, I don't know how many years now, at least since I was 18, because I stopped doing gymnastics and then the weight just kept packing on. So I've been trying a lot of stuff, and I mean, I know that my mindset wasn't the right one because I was like, I want to lose it now, quick. So I tried so many things, hopped on all of those crazy diets, and then, I mean, it works for like a month. You lose like too much weight, all of your muscle is gone, you can't exercise, and then a few weeks later you're just like, okay, I can't do this anymore, let's go to McDonald's or something, and that's it, that's the end. So I was just like completely frustrated, to be honest, because I couldn't maintain something for the long run, and everything I did was either too much exercise without the foods or too much healthy foods without the exercise. So it just couldn't work. That was
Right.
basically it.
So you were basically pushing yourself a bit too hard, too fast, right? That's what you're saying, right? And too much exercises, right? Because everyone thinks you basically have to do a lot. You have to keep pushing yourself and do more and more, right? That's kind of the mentality, which is not exactly wrong, but sometimes it kind of pulls you back, right? Which we will get to. And also the other thing that you are actually struggled with is, feeling that you have to eat a lot of healthy foods and then you actually force yourself to just stick to the healthy foods, something like that, right?
I didn't even know what healthy was.
Right.
I'm a vegetarian, so I was like, salads.
Everything is healthy.
A lot of vegetables, and I'm like, what is not working?
Right. Yeah, everything was kind of healthy to you, right? Like because vegetarian, it just seems like everything should be healthy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then like with that, you also couldn't really see any results, any changes, right? And that was like really the frustrating portion.
I mean, I could see it on the scale. You would go down significantly. Maybe I would lose like a kilo a week, but then I wouldn't be able to keep it for a long time. I might lose like for a month, and then I would have no energy, no will to continue. So I would just go back to where I was when I started.
Okay, so yeah, that's really important. I think that's important to remember because the next part when I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about the things you learned, I think these are things that you learned, and you kind of got away from, right? So that's good. Thanks for sharing that. Anything else? Do you remember any other struggles that you kind of had before you hopped on?
I mean, that was the main one. I think it was for me. It was pretty much more mindset, and I just wanted to. I mean, I didn't even know what to do. That was my main problem. I didn't know how I had to tackle the fact that I wanted to lose weight and also like have something healthy to maintain myself for the long run. which
Right,
people
right,
just
right.
don't teach you. So
Yeah.
I was searching for that.
Okay, awesome. So, I think you followed me for a while, right? And then you decided to hop on. Do you
Yeah.
remember why you decided to hop on, or like how, or what made you like, okay, let me just try this out?
I mean,
Or were you very
I
sure that you wanted this also?
I wasn't 100% sure. I'm really skeptical. I follow a lot of people that have the same, like, oh, look at these results and stuff like that. But to be honest, what made me kind of like keep going onto your page like more frequently and seeing stuff was the video testimonials that you have with people, because most of like these
Yeah, on
creators
one now.
they just put
Awesome.
they just put the pictures side to side, and I'm like, sometimes without even the heads in different clothes, and I'm like, how do I know if it's even the same person?
Right.
How do
right.
I know that this actually worked for them? So I was like, I'll just watch the video, and then people just kept saying, like, this actually works. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a try and see. And I liked what you were preaching in the other posts as well. Like, you don't need to cut out everything. You don't need to be like extreme with everything. So I was just like, I'll give this a chance.
I think it's true. I think, okay, the video testimonial is something I started including pretty recently. If you follow me for a while, it's
Yeah.
been doing a lot of good for me. So I'm really appreciative that you are willing to be, doing this for us also. By the way, yes, you're on this again, so we'll see you soon. But the other thing, I think what your feedback was quite important, right? Like the no hate pictures. Some people's pictures, you see the before and after, you don't really see the face and all that stuff. The sad reality is not a lot of people, I mean, you know this as well, right? But the reality
Yeah.
is not say sad, because privacy is privacy. We should always respect that. But the fact is, not everyone wants to show their face.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, that's
it is what it is.
That's true, but I just really like to see the blended, because at least you put more than one source of information. Some people only put pictures, some people only put the videos,
Right.
and
Right.
you can get a sense of what you're watching. There's other people that only put pictures without faces, and they don't
Yeah.
even are consistent with the clothes or anything. So you're like, oh, is this
I get
really
it.
or not? So
Yeah.
it's always good to have some sort of extra security when you're looking for these things. Especially this is online, like really far away. We're completely different countries. So that was extra security for me.
For sure. And I do appreciate you hopping on, right? And I do appreciate you, doing what you've done and putting the effort for the past few weeks. All right. So you've gone through the past few weeks. All right. So now it's like the question here comes, and it's important to reflect. I think a lot of times we don't reflect on what we learned, what we win. Okay, like we always focus on losses, right? But not a lot of people focus on the wins. It's important to look at the wins, because I also want you to realize what your wins are, and you can take them away and keep using them in the future. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were your specific results? Okay, and how do you feel now after you've gone through the coaching? The results could be anything, okay?
Yeah.
According to you.
Well, to be honest, my favorite one was the fact that I could lose like 2 kilos. So that's great for me. But I think even more important than that is the fact that I actually started gaining my strength back. I started exercising again, and I always try to do all of them. So everything I try to go and do the sets of reps that you said on the app and everything. And I can feel myself every day just doing another push-up or having it without the knees down and without assistance, and that felt great. And I mean, I've always been into sports, and I was a gymnast, like I said, so it just felt great to start seeing my muscles pop back again, like saying I through all the rest of other body fat and everything that I had. So that was probably the most important one for me. Clothes and everything, I didn't feel much because I have really baggy clothes. So I never pay attention. But I mean, I definitely feel much better. It's not even just a sense of losing all of the weight, because yes, I want to do that. But this journey allowed me to just do it at a pace that I know that I can keep it for so long, because I've been literally doing the same thing that I was doing before, but a little bit more it's not restricted, but a little bit more conscious of what I'm doing. So checking my calories and everything. I didn't even know how many calories I was eating before, but I don't want to know because if I go back, it was probably too much. But I didn't know that the vegetables are all carbs, and I had like almost zero protein in my diet because I just wasn't even aware that I should be including all of it. And you think about it, but then when you turn vegetarian, you just forget. So I was completely confused about what I had to do, and this really like made me just realize, okay, this is what I should be doing, and I can definitely keep it on the long term.
Right.
So that was probably my biggest change. It was just knowledge.
Right. And the mindset, I believe. What do you think about mindset? You talked about that, right? So now everything feels more comfortable, like you said, more enjoyable, more sustainable. Yeah.
It's just because we get to a point when we're so frustrated that we forget that things take time. You can't just lose it like from one day to the other. You can't be healthy in a snap of a finger if you weren't healthy at all before. So it feels good to be in a program that allows you to take baby steps, because we're going slowly, but we're going somewhere at least. It's not like a giant leap and then you fall back. You go slowly towards what you're trying to achieve.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so I've taken some notes, right, in terms of what you mentioned as the results. I'm really glad to know, you're really feeling the strength coming back. Muscles popping back up again, to be honest, for me, it's like, okay, you can be happy with that. I'm like, okay, cool. But I'm more happy, and then, how do I say this? I'm more glad, joyful to hear that, you can really feel yourself getting stronger. I think performance is usually something that is internal, but at the same time makes you feel much better. All right. And yeah, like going at a comfortable pace, I think this is definitely really important. And I think this is definitely something, that I kind of preach in the program. Not just the program, the coaching. The way I talk, that's how I preach. I don't really preach, but that's what I believe in. But at the same time, also realizing, I think I want you to know this as well. Being comfortable is okay. Sustainable is okay. But sometimes when we reach the point where, you want to push yourself a bit more, you might need to go above your comfort zone a bit. It may not be super sustainable in the moment, right? But you are, like, I'm just sharing with you, if ever there comes a time, just know that sometimes it may not be super sustainable in the long term, but know that because sometimes you might just want to have a short period of time where you just push yourself, maybe not so sustainable, but after this period of time, you can do certain things where you can bump things back up, still retain a bunch of the results that you got through this short term, and you will still feel sustainable after that. So it's not always doing things that is just like, for the long term, everything is comfortable. Sometimes knowing that,
for sure.
Yeah,
I know there's going to be more challenges. For sure.
Correct. Yeah. So it's all about what you want, and also realizing what you need to do, and just asking yourself whether whether it's going to be aligned for you, which I think you're understanding that a bit more now. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's true, vegetarians are all carbs. If you don't pay attention to it, you're not going to have a lot of protein. But I will just kind of like talk a bit about, like, I won't say correcting you, but I don't think it's in the sense of things, it's not saying that you're not having enough protein. Okay, realize that it's good to have protein. It's not always like a thing that you have to have a very high protein amount. Okay, like I said, firstly, it depends on your goal. Secondly, also realizing that it's good to have protein. For you, probably it's just working on making sure a bit, being more mindful that you are having some protein through your vegetarian sources, and that's going to be helpful for you. Okay, it's not so much about hitting those numbers and saying that, oh, you are not hitting, so you're not having enough protein. Yeah, I just want to be clear on that, because some people really just like tag themselves to the number, and then they feel bad because they cannot hit that number, and the reality is it's not the case.
Yeah, that's right. But there was days where I didn't even try to include all of the food groups in my diet, because there's a lot of substitutes for protein in vegetarian diets, but I'm really picky with my foods, so a lot of them I don't even eat. So I had no idea I was even leaving a whole food group out of my diet.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so This is also another interesting point, right? So you also mentioned, like, if you eat vegetarian, you're technically already healthy, right? And you also mentioned a couple of things at the end where it's like, oh, it's healthy, and then it's all about helping you to take baby steps, not a giant leap, and then you fall back, right? But I think for you, do you realize now that healthy is actually a very subjective term, and
Yeah.
it shouldn't be something that is other people. It shouldn't be something that other people is telling you that, oh, this is how you should be doing. In order for
Yeah,
you
for
to be
sure.
healthy, this is how you should be eating. This is how you should be working out, right?
Yeah.
Do you realize that now healthy is actually both? It's your definition, and it might change from time to time, right? But it's a definition that it not only includes the foods you're eating, things you're doing physically, but also,
Yes, definitely,
mental,
definitely.
emotional.
I definitely need that slice of cake from time to time. That's my
Mm.
definition of healthy. If I don't have it, I'll fall back to much worse. So I know what my parameters are, and I know that this is going to change for everybody.
Mm, mm, yeah. All right, great. Like I said, I'm really glad to hear that you've gone through this and had this for yourself. Okay, and really just remember what you've gone through. Especially if your habit starts to pull you back slightly in mind, remember what you got from this. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are two more questions. Okay, and this is really for the people watching. All right. So the next question I have is, who will you recommend the program for? You've seen the group check-ins. You've seen a ton of people coming in, right? So who will you personally recommend the program for?
I mean, I've been sharing it with my friends. Some of them that I was trying to go, like before I found the program, we were going on runs and doing our exercises by ourselves. And I've definitely already sent them the Instagram, and I've been like giving them my my favorite post. I'll just send them and everything. So I'm definitely sharing with them. My inner
Who
circle.
will you recommend this for? Like, who do you think this would be good
For?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone that's awake, that's ready to just start doing this. Yeah, just because sometimes we are just like, just sleeping, and we do the same thing over and over again, and we think it's going to work, but we already know it's not going to work. But we keep doing it anyway. It's just like we just need to snap out of it and just start focusing on something that actually matters and that is going to work long term. It's not something that you can just do, and you don't need the magic potion. You need something that's going to keep going for a long time. So I think that this is definitely for people who are tired of being frustrated and just want to start doing it for real. For the long term.
All right, so now this is the final thing, and this is like, I love this part. If there's one advice, one tip that you personally want to give to others, what would that be? Like, share it with the world.
I mean, just take everything at your pace. Sometimes you can't do everything like at once. I mean, when I started, it definitely felt like it was a lot, but it's all about just going slowly, baby steps, one foot after the other, and keep going. Every time you can do a little bit better than you did the day before. So if you go up your calories a day, you can balance it out the other days. And if you can't do all of your exercises, do the maximum you can, and then next day you'll do one more, and then you keep going. And it doesn't matter that you're not hitting like a goal that's defined in an app or in a sheet or something. A number doesn't really matter. Just keep pushing yourself a little bit every day, and you'll get there. Just have patience, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, I appreciate that, and hopefully everyone who will be watching this, okay, is going to appreciate what you just shared. The reality is sometimes they just have to go through it in order for them to really appreciate what you're saying as well. But we shall see. Hopefully this helps them to just take that step forward, and like you said, get better and not about perfection, right?
Yeah, I hope
awesome.
So.